Rangers yesterday sacked Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. So who do Rangers turn to next? Let me tell you, the three names in the frame. Michael Beale, who recently said no to Wolves and stayed with Queen's Park Rangers, but of course before that worked with Rangers under Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard, another one. Another name on the bookies list, and also Sean Dyche. Those the three names, Beale, Dyche and Gerrard, the three names on the bookies list at the moment. But the bookies, what do they know? Who's going to end up with the job? That's a bigger question. Sean Dyche joined Simon and myself in studio back in London just before we flew over here, and we put it to him. What about these links with Rangers? Would you fancy it at any time soon?
There's a window of opportunity. I think I'm still in it. Don't forget when I came out, you know, people say you've been out of it 7 months, but don't forget there's a close season for 3. So, you know, active months, it's like 4. So you're going, well, all right, I think I've got a window, a possible opportunity in the Premier League. If it comes my way, if it doesn't, then you've got to broaden your eyes.
But you know how big the old firm are.
Oh,
Rangers and
Celtic.
Celtic.
Of course, yeah. Do you know what? If I do know Ross Wilson at Rangers, if he'd like to invite me to the old firm, I've never been. He still hasn't invited me. I know he still hasn't invited me. Can you believe it? I worked with him at Watford.
Stuart Pearce, of course, knows Sean Dyche very well. Stuart, Dyche, Rangers, is it a good fit?
From the outside, I think it is a very good fit. I think his personality and charisma will give something to Rangers. Rangers are a massive high-profile club. You know better than I, coming from that neck of the woods. Once again, it is one of those, you know, I spoke with Simon off air there about how strong a Celtic at the moment. You've got to finish above Celtic if you're Rangers, and how strong a Celtic, and do you think you've got the tools to actually do that, and how that affects your credentials as a manager if you do take the job?
The thing to me, and he came across with you and I that day back in London,
very
Simon,
strong, yeah.
He's got his eyes set in a Premier League job, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, as he said, he believes there's a window of time that he's still in that space where he gets an opportunity in the Premier League, and I think he may be right. We'll see. That's his gift to determine his own outcomes. Going to Rangers is a really difficult one right now, because if you can get to a European final and yet still have no latitude within weeks of the season started, and the rumbling started about Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. And I know that the European campaign for both the Scottish sides was very disappointing, but I think you also have to be pragmatic and realistic about it. I don't think Sean Dyche, I'd be surprised if he goes to Rangers. I think there's a lot of jeopardy in that job. Yeah, it's a great big job. It's a big job. But there was a lot of arguments about how much money was spent after the season that's just gone, and with getting to the final of the the Europa League, and at the same time getting the Champions League money and not spending much of it seemingly on players. They are some way behind Celtic in terms of the performance of the Celtic team and Ange Postecoglou. So I think it's a risk, and I don't think Gerrard will go back there. And I'd be surprised if Michael Beale goes to there, because why would he want to go to Rangers when he could have gone to potentially a Premier League club?
Yeah, I know he loved his time under Steven Gerrard up there, though, Simon. And it wouldn't surprise me if he would be tempted at least to speak to them.
Yeah, okay. When you factor that part into the equation, that he's been up there with Gerrard, you can understand it. But again, going to the career path that Michael Beale has alluded to, and the ideas behind it, it would be a strange one not to want to go to a Premier League club in Wolverhampton Wanderers, and yet still go to Rangers after making the statements he's made at QPR after the approach at Wolves.
Yeah. Having said all that, my sympathy goes to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, but this is football, Stuart. Brian Laudrup, Rangers legend, in a newspaper column has said, Celtic keep getting results now. They're 9 points clear going into this World Cup break. Having played in a European final against Eintracht Frankfurt a few months before, that was in Seville, of course, you'd expect Rangers to put up more of a fight than they did. It was the most disappointing thing, and it wasn't helped by the fact the manager came out saying Rangers couldn't compete and that they didn't have enough financial muscle. For me, if you're the manager of Rangers and your body language is like that and your comments are like that, will your players think they have a chance? Laudrup this morning, pretty scathing on Van Bronckhorst.
Yeah, it is. I don't know whether they've got history between the two of them, but what you would say sometimes as a manager, you say things a means to an end, you know what I mean? You can upset the board level by doing that. Sometimes it has a desired effect and you get what you need as a manager. Other times you'll get in situations like this potentially.